Item number 6, Houbolt Bridge presentation.
While you're getting set up for that, there's just some general comments I'd like to make. As you know, we're having a bit of a struggle trying to determine what the optimum solution is for all the traffic congestion here in the area. It seemed like we solved the one problem with a lot of the truck traffic on Route 53. One of the solutions being offered is this Houbolt Road Bridge. And again, I don't want to have happen what happened with Strong Road. We spent a lot of time on that and got a lot of input from everybody to service the companies here in Elwood. That ultimately was refuted by a federal judge. If this is a solution, this Houbolt Road, for how you guys operate this Houbolt Road Bridge, we just need to know that, and we need to give our opinion on it. If it will help you, fine. If it won't, that's fine too. But we need to give our opinion as a port authority and as individual businesses if this is a solution for you. You're the logistics companies there. You're the ones who will ultimately use this road if it's built, and that's what we need to know. So that's why we're presenting it today.
Hello. My name is Salvatore Di Bernardo. We're with Siorba Group, a consulting engineering firm that's been around since 1927. Our specialty is transportation for government agencies. So with that, most of our work is with the Illinois Department of Transportation, Illinois Tollway, and the Will County Division of Transportation. We do structural, roadway, water resources, municipal service, and construction observation. The reason I'm here, I was at the IDOT roadshow listening tour, in which IDOT officials are listening to the needs of people around the state, try to consolidate all these thoughts in eventually a funding program for the state. And I noticed I was in Will County, we were talking about the Houbolt Road Bridge, and we happened to do a feasibility study on this, more like a concept study more than a feasibility study a few years ago. So I get to talk to some people. Mr. Bosso was one of those, and also talk to Open Lines. And there is definitely some interest in this bridge, so I decided maybe I can just talk to some of the stakeholders and see what you feel about this. So this is not like a study that we did for the village of Elwood, like as deep as the traffic study that Mr. Bosso was talking about before. But I think it could be interest for this group of looking at what we've done and come up with. So these are the existing conditions. I think you're more familiar than I am with this. You see the two intermodal center on the south side of this kind of parcel that is limited by I-80 on the north, 55 on the west, and 53 on the east. The blue lines are basically the track routes that are more used, Laraway and Arsenal. Arsenal has also that big loop that goes to 55 on this side, pretty long and very heavy traffic on that one. So basically, the advantage of this place would be limited by two major expressway and also an interchange of 80-55. So now looking at the existing condition, there are some intersections that are very busy, especially at some time of the day. One example, Mississippi Avenue at Elwood International Port Road. Same on Arsenal Road, there is a lot of traffic around the ExxonMobil entrance also. And similarly on Arsenal Road at Elwood International Port Road. So the idea we worked on was to study a solution for a permanent fix for this problem. Of course, this would be quite an expensive project. So here you see it's a bit light, but you see the access point for the intermodal are on this side, the other access are on this side. So the idea right now, when you see the light blue sign, there is a lot of traffic on the east side of the quadrant. So we came up with an alignment that is kind of trying to tie traffic more to 55 and 80. So the alignment is using Houbolt, the interchange that is already on I-80, and through the extension of that same alignment over the Display River, we can connect to South Better Road which will be at the heart of the two intermodal centers. So with that in mind, I mean, the idea that we can generate like shorter path to both intermodal centers, and also try to get as close as possible, keep the traffic as close as possible to the major interstate instead of using 53 or other roads. You may notice also on this, and we have exhibit on that side, that along this alignment is going through land that is kind of open land. There is not too much residential on this side, while we know that on this side of Elwood and also on this side of 53, close to Joliet, there is a lot of residential and residential development. So definitely this will be an advantage, and also the speed and the shorter trip, especially coming from I-80, you have like a main access to the intermodal. Also, I want to point out, like, the casino is right there, so there can be some advantages getting traffic to the casino right off I-80. So here you can see more in detail. This is the interchange at I-80. That, I mean, we are showing some improvement, widening of the ramp. The other thing I want to point out, I'm just going back here, and this is a kind of hot topic, railroad crossings. We have like two major railroad crossing at the access point along the Union Pacific on this side, and also we have the BNSF on this side. On Arsenal there is a great separation, but on the other side, as you well know, there is no great separation. On this alignment, going back to what we had before, right south of 80, there is a railroad, an at-grade crossing. In our concept, we keep it as an at-grade crossing, but it's also true that the traffic, we check the traffic on that railroad line, it's very low, about like between 4 and 6 trains per day. So it's not very significant to slow traffic. I mean, the railroad crossing, I can point out, it's here just before the Iron Canal. So this will basically, the alignment will continue to US 6 with some improvement to this intersection, and then proceed to this parcel of open land, which is now used more like for construction material, and go over the display river. We also showing some concept for detention basin, because we are creating more pavement, so there will be some need for drainage, collecting water before we put it back into the system. And then the main crossing, we identify a location for this, for the alignment, which we think is quite advantageous to cross the display river. Given the grade, I mean, we are like a higher grade on this side, it's almost like a bluff. So basically, it's also the earth movement is quite balanced, so we can just go over the display river, clearing the navigational channel, and also over the railroad here without any issues. So we will then reconnect on the south side to Better Road. So again, this is like a very preliminary concept study, but we said, like I said, we identify the alignment, this is the possible location of the crossing, and this will be the connection of Better Road on the south side of the project. Now, we went as far as we could, and we talked to the Coast Guard. We actually some back and forth coordination, and we figured out what kind of clear span, because as you know, the display river is navigational at this point. So the Coast Guard has jurisdiction on that, and they pretty much asked it, because of the alignments are a little bit of an askew, to have at least like 500 feet of span, which is a significant span over the display river. So we look at like potential bridge types, starting from plate or steel box girder area, which will be a little bit too, maybe like a push for this span, and also we look at like cable stayed, extra loss type, or tied arch. It can be two different types with vertical hangers or network shape hangers, where the hangers go on a diagonal. So here we go a little bit more. These are not rendering creating for this project, but just example of similar project that can be applied to this case. And here is the tied arch. I mean, in terms of environmental, the main issues from an environmental point of view is water quality. Definitely, I mean, for when you drain the water on the bridge, you cannot discharge directly to the display river, so this will go into some treatment. Usually we put some vegetation at the bottom of the detention basin, wetland type vegetation to filter out all the pollutant, and before we put the water back into the system. Other issues, environmental issues, are like noise and also special waste, because I mean, when you get into this area in which there can be some hazardous material in the ground, you have to get rid of them in the proper way. This is some of like our experience that can relate to the project. We did a lot of work on along I-80. We were the main designer for the up lane between 30 and 45. We also designed the interchange of I-80 at US 30. And we have a lot of like bridge experience, which put us in a good position to do a concept study of this type without going to spend too much time and effort, but we try to do our best. Now I know this is like for the first time I heard this Houbolt Road Bridge name going around, so I don't know exactly. I mean, as I said, this is not something that anybody's working on, or there is like any consultant contracted to do the design, but just figure out it's good to talk about and show the concept that we have and see if there is any comments from this qualified audience.
Thank you. As was said, this is a concept plan. It is being thrown out there. And I guess what we're asking all of you is from the way you operate, is this a benefit? Is that bridge going to be used by your truckers? Is that we're looking to see where the traffic goes, where it's coming from. If this is a benefit, we want to weigh in favor of it. So we'd like some comments from all of you who are out there in that park, just to determine if in fact this would help us and help your traffic flow, and if you could see that being used. So if anybody could weigh in on it, I'd really appreciate it, because we are looking for your comments. But I think Joe, Dave want to comment.
Yeah, if you have comments, go ahead and stand up. In addition, we're looking for thresholds. If they toll this bridge, now we don't have any control over this, but if they toll it, what would the threshold be on a toll that may be acceptable versus one that's not palatable, that type of information. So we're just looking to get some information back to the county and the state on what works for the folks that are.
Well, I believe it would work great for companies.
Come on up to the mic and if you would state your name or.
Dave Schultz, Prairie Creek Logistics, right here in Elwood. I believe it would work great for companies looking to leave the intermodal or enter the intermodal from the Chicago area, but does absolutely nothing for myself or companies looking to exit to the southeast. We've got 300 more miles of state below us here. There doesn't seem to be any plan to access that part of the state. The other thing is there any idea where the initial funding for this is going to come from?
It's not our project, so we're just trying to get some information back to our state leaders and let them know whether this is going to be beneficial or not.
But I guess from your standpoint, you're saying that the trucks along 80 will use that, but the ones coming from the south would not use the bridge?
Well, the ones coming from the south would come up 55 and continue to exit our small road.
How about from the north going southbound at 55?
Well, I'll tell you this much, Nick, the moment they stick a toll on it, they'll use our small road.
Does that seem to be a general consensus with everybody here, or?
Yeah, John Clement with BNSF. I would agree, gentlemen, that coming from the east, primarily the Chicago metro area, leveraging Interstate 80 to this Houbolt Road extension would be a benefit to anyone coming from that direction, because today they have to take Interstate 80, either get off and take Laraway, or they would go to I-55 and make the loop. So this would be a more direct route, but if a toll was assessed or there was something that created some additional impediment or expense to them, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't just continue on taking I-55 then. But it doesn't do anything for anyone coming, of course, from the south or from the southeast access, so that's an excellent point.
All right. anyone else like to weigh in? We'd like to hear from as many businesses as possible.
From an employee base, if this cuts my commute down from Chicago into the Center Point area, then I would think it would be an advantage. Right now, about 65% of my workforce commutes 20 miles or more, with the majority of that coming from Chicago. So if this cuts off several miles from having to come down 55 and come up Arsenal Road, I could see it as a benefit. But like the gentleman before me said, if there's going to be a toll, and that's the price I pay for the shorter distance, then, you know, it's kind of irrelevant at that point. But if it can cut down commute, I would say it's an advantage for commuters and the truck drivers to an extent, but, you know, I think that's where the savings is going to be from a mileage standpoint.
So generally, the comments are that it seems to have some limited improvements to the way the roadway network is built. So because of that, we generally support it unless it's tolled. In that case, we wouldn't support it, pretty much.
How does this line up with the Laraway Bridge proposal?
I don't know that there was a bridge proposal on Laraway Road.
Well, I know that the CED is working on at least getting some conceptual ideas for a Laraway Bridge, which I think would actually be parallel to this. So, you know, no details on that, but, you know, it's the same kind of concept.
Yeah, that's the first time that I hear about it.
Anyone else hear about the Laraway Bridge, or?
Is this the center point study you're talking about?
Yeah.
It's a center point concept.
I mean, would it be better, we'd be better off with the Laraway Bridge than this, do you think?
For me, the center point would be better.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
They're looking to reconnect to 53.
That was presented here at the last meeting. It's not off of Laraway per se. It's off of 53 and it kind of connects to Millsdale. I think that was in the past.
That's the one that goes at an angle, it turns.
Yeah.
Is that the correct?
That's
yeah,
right.
It's further south. Kind of from Green going west, and a bridge over the UP to Millsdale.
So that's, yeah, if I remember correctly, that is one of the 11 options that are being looked at by IDOT right now. And it was first introduced by ICC staff, and speculating maybe they were given that by CenterPoint. I don't know where they got it from, but that's how it was introduced to the public at one of the ICC hearings by ICC staff, and now it's being included as part of the IDOT study that they're doing and looking at different options. Yeah.
Okay.
I would just comment briefly. Definitely, I mean, I agree with your point that the southeast is the most, there is no direct benefit from access from the southeast, but you also try to be, it could be, and actually the goal would be to shift traffic from 53 to other ways of accessing, so there will be an indirect benefit also of people coming from 53 from the south. And then, because you have less traffic going to 53 anyway, because traffic is moving probably to the other side of the overall traffic. Then in general, before we go, I mean, when you do a study like a preliminary, like a phase called phase 1 in idle journey, you will look at different alternatives more on a system-wide. The issue with the toll, I mean, we didn't do a toll study, so I mean, it's also depends on what kind of toll money will be collected, if it's needed to be collected, not always the case it will be a toll, but it's getting an option on the table. And the other thing is like from 55 and Arsenal, I think there is still some, I mean, especially if you go to the BNSF to the north, there could be some advantage you're going to stay on the interstate system more instead of getting off at Arsenal and driving inside the intermodal for a long time. I'm sorry, it's more like a response to you, where if you come from this north on 55 and 80, no matter what, clear advantage from the south, it's kind of questionable if your path is shorter from Arsenal or. I mean,
Right,
I'm talking about the Union Pacific, I'm sorry.
Well, even for the BNSF, if you were coming from Wisconsin or Schaumburg from one of the DCs up there, you would come down 355 more than likely, or 294, either one, access Interstate 80, and 80 would then be a direct shot
Yep.
over Humboldt. So that would be a benefit rather than maybe the traffic patterns on I-55. So 80 would be a better traffic flow on most times of the day than 55 would be. So that would be a benefit to someone coming from the north also, I would think.
Well, I would agree if it were moved further to the east. We're talking, what, 2 miles between I-55 and Humboldt Road?
How about that?
So, I mean, if I were coming down 355 going into access, I'd still come down 55 and do the 2 miles versus coming back. When you're talking to a trucker, I mean, miles are miles, but miles are dollars. And that's why,
Well, if you were coming down 55, you've got to come over 2 miles. You come just about 2 miles to Elwood International Port Drive as well. And you go a mile and a half too far south, then you have to go back north again. So you pick up 3 miles there, and it's pretty much an even shift over. So you'd save yourself 3 miles.
right.
And part of the bridge portion is looking to shift traffic away from residential areas. Coming down Route 53 right now, the I-80 congestion is a bad area. And there's really no way that I'm aware of that the engineers have come up with, short of knocking out quite a few homes, to expand that interchange to accommodate the amount of traffic that comes off of it. So I think they're looking for another way that they can alleviate, bring traffic in and out of the 2 ports, or the 2 intermodal facilities, and move it away from some of the residential areas as well. We had 11 fatalities in about a 12-month period last year, 9 of them involving trucks. Not all were the fault of the truck driver, but it's just the sheer congestion of traffic on Route 53 intermingling with residential and not having a limited access road. So in shifting that over, we can actually provide a much safer environment for the residential communities and at the same time get the truck traffic moved through. Yes, sir.
The aerial picture with BSF, would that, this design imply that the future land use plans for the area along, thank you, aerial picture with BSF, would that this design imply that future land use plans for the area along 53 for properties east of 53 is designed to be residential? If part of the goal is to, if part of the goal is to shift truck traffic away from residential areas?
It's Joliet City, I don't know how they've laid the community out for future development.
Or immediately east of Elwood?
Immediately east,
Yes.
we're looking for residential in that area.
Pardon me?
Immediately east of Elwood, we have some development already that's center point development, but we're looking for more of a residential, commercial feel to the rest of the area. All right, any other questions or comments concerning that? All right.
Adam Roth with NAI. I think it's important that the bridge, the new bridge, is heavyweight truck worthy, or it's built, designed for heavyweight trucks. I think that's a big issue, and that's going to be a growing issue. Regarding the toll, I'm not a fan of the toll, but I guess there's the potential for a toll if it's less than the county fee. Is my perspective on it. It's a better thing to be addressed by Prairie Creek, but with the county fee on a per load basis, you might have the potential to help fund the bridge just for heavyweights if it's more palatable than the county fee.
As a comment on I think as of now, weights, there's an additional comment, was not a question. So I think 53 is kind of struggling. You see the pavement is failing, and I will have an advantage of taking traffic away from 53. I think Arsenal Road is not, I'm not sure if it's designed for heavy truck traffic. Now, whenever we do a Will County Division of Transportation project in the last 5 years, we're designing area for 120 kips, which is like over the legal loads, just because the county was to be prepared to take all this truck traffic. So definitely the bridge will be designed for heavy load, and it's also may qualify the bridge better than other routes in the future. And the money that you put to bring everything up to 120 gigs can be significant. So I mean, there is definitely, you can say 53 is being repaid not too long ago, it's already in bad shape. So definitely, and just say that either will be like a potential very strong stakeholder, because they were favorably at taking traffic off 53.
I think one hypothesis we should be prepared for is the possibility that heavyweight loads would be restricted on Arsenal Road and Laraway Road and forced to use this new route and pay a toll.
The very good point. Yes, it's potentially something that can be, at least they can try to enforce. Then not that easy, very not.
I checked.
All right, any further comments? All right, I'd like to thank Executive Vice President Salvador Di Bernardo. Thank you very much for coming out tonight and discussing the concept plan that one of the possibilities of alleviating some of our truck traffic, and also for everybody else's input, so we can get some of this information back to our state and federal elected officials. Thank you very much. Item 6B, Environmental, Stacy Myers, Policy Coordinator for Open Lands.
Stacy was unable to make it today, so she let us know a couple days ago, and but the general consensus from them is you may want to not put in words in the mouth. You can ask them directly, but they're generally favorable to this alignment.
All right, thanks, Max. Under other business, we need to approve our minutes from the January 21st, 2015 Elwood International Port Authority meeting. And I don't know if everybody has a copy of it or not, but it's, during the meeting, we just had some basic discussion. There was no votes concerning the ICC hearing, Walter Strong Railroad crossing, Walter Strong Road reconstruction from the spring of 2015, which is underway now. Item number 3 was the Elwood International Port directional wayfinders. Item 4, garbage dumpsters and pickup, and item 5 was street name changes. So
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes for the Elwood International Port Authority meeting of January 21st, 2015. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays, same sign. Motion carries. Any other business?
Mayor, just a quick item. As you may have heard, the Village of Elwood filed an amended complaint against Centerpoint Properties. If you're interested in any of those details, I'll have them here for you.
Thanks, Nick. Would anyone like to entertain a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries.